This may be my most important video of 2018. I'm Mark Stewart Greenstein. This is the Daily Fire for September 27th. It's following last night's debate at UConn, and there was one line that I want to examine. It's very important, and it was from Ned Lamont, who said, "There's a quality you'll see in me, that's empathy." This is why that line is actually dangerous in a governor candidate. Because empathy is not the way to govern. Empathy for others, not wisdom in how you govern, is what makes nice guys, and Ned is a very nice guy, it makes nice guys in governance bankrupt us. Because we all feel for certain people that don't have. They're needy, at least temporarily. When we govern based on our feelings for helping their need, we're using other people's money. I want people individually who all have empathy to make those decisions, not the government. Empathy becomes almost the opposite of wisdom. I want a wise government. I want a government that has a limited amount of funds, and the wisdom of the officials there is to distribute them properly. I believe proper is limited to the most necessary functions. But even those who want to expand those functions, I understand that. They should do them not based on empathy. I'd like Ned Lamont as my neighbor. I'd like him as a member of my synagogue. He'd have to convert, but it's not hard. I don't want his progressivism or anyone's respect for governing by empathy as my governor. Here's what it gets us. Empathy in Connecticut's governance has gotten us police officers with ridiculously high pensions at age 43. It gets us benefits for very old people. They're in their late 80s. And yet, how perverse is that? Because the average old person is worth 30 times what your average 30-year-old is worth. Empathy is for private endeavors. Empathy is best done privately so that individuals assess the worth of an individual who's in need or a group that is looking for a contribution. Awareness is what's for government, okay? And for journalists who can provide us and government with information to act on. When we're unaware, then we get bad quarries with pyrrhotite that cause collapsing houses in eastern Connecticut. When we are unaware, we get abuse within government by employees. When we're unaware, we get some schools with very perverse policies. We need people in the media who see problems. John Lender is a great example. Current investigative journalists, like a new-fashioned muckraker. So that still young police officer who faced danger, and we feel empathy for the pressures that he was under for 25 years, but he's only 43, he's come out unscathed. Does he really deserve the government's largesse of a colossally big pension that the rest of us will never see? That 85-year-old, the older person who has all these extra benefits that come at the expense of 35-year-olds who want to start families, who want to put their kids into a better school. It's unfair if you are broad, because that 85-year-old as a class is wealthier by far than the 35-year-olds. Okay, national average, it's 30 times as high, the average wealth of 85-year-olds versus 35-year-olds. So empathy is dangerous in government. What's good for government? Awareness. And it's journalists who can bring that. Muckrakers. People who will bring to the government's attention and our, as individuals' attention, things that are wrong, injustices. Example, journalists can bring to us and the government things that are wrong. Quarries that have pyrrhotite that might cause houses to collapse. Within state government, employees that are not doing their job and maybe even harming their wards. Journalists can and should unearth wrongs and bring them forward to government and to the public at large. Individuals can then see, ooh, these are quarries with a bad strain of pyrrhotite that could cause the collapse of homes in eastern Connecticut. These are schools who have these perverse incentives for their kids. Those are state employees who are mistreating the trust that we put in them. We need journalists like that. John Lender's a really good example in Hartford at the Current. We need people in media to identify things that are wrong and individuals to rectify them. Government becomes a last resort, I hope, to rectify them. Business should be an in-between resort because business people are in so many realms that they can often identify problems and they have more ability to fix them. They can turn more quickly than government can. They can put some of their employees onto a project. They can fund things better. They might make money in the process. Don't be afraid of making money. And progressives, unfortunately, they don't like to hear about big money. And Ned gets put into a bad position. He shouldn't. He made a lot of money, I presume, ethically in his business. And he, with his wealth, and others who get wealthy in business, can do better individually, not through government, for all the causes that they want. Progressives should not be afraid of business ethically done. If you must govern by empathy, have empathy for the unseen people who, under government auspices now, are taxed to the margin, where they are now unable to pay their electric bills, unable to take a trip out of state, unable to see a relative out of state who might be sick. They're marginal. And your extra tax then makes them even more marginal. Then there's people who are not marginal. They're pretty well off. But they've done well and are angered when the government expects of them things that they don't expect of others who put themselves into bad positions. The better off people worked their asses off. Others didn't. The better off people saved. Others didn't. The better off people might have taught their children frugality, while others didn't. The better off people might have taught their children to stay in school, while others didn't. And at least some of the well-off people, when adversity hits, because it hits everybody, taught themselves not to rely on government. What got them out of that adversity, if they didn't rely on government, was some of themselves and maybe some of the tight community. If a tight community benefactor helps you, you have gratitude, making you an even better person, usually a happier person. Ask Dennis Prager. No gratitude, no happiness. They are inexorably twined. When there's adversity, we treat ourselves in the end. The progressives will say, well, in America today, when there's adversity, there's no help for them. I don't think they look and ask to the people around them, because there's a government that they can draw on first. I want the government to be drawn on last. America doesn't inherently keep people down. Progressives think otherwise, and they're wrong. Today, pedigree in America is almost irrelevant, okay? White people who run banks want Indians who don't look anything like them to run their IT departments and to scan data. White people who might still be in major positions within insurance companies. They love internationals who will work hard. Their skin color, their nationality, their religion is of no import to the employers anymore. 80 years ago, that wasn't always the case. Here, it almost always is. Talent matters. Talent matters in modern America. And with talent, modern America does not keep you from building wealth, and with it, using that wealth to help people who need a leg up. The best empathy comes from talented individuals that we let flourish so that they directly will help better than government ever will. I have a nice place for Ned Lamont's skill, talent, and empathy. That's in my administration. Not as governor, but rest assured, Ned can be put to helping many groups of people. His identifications of problems are what all of Connecticut needs. So Ned, you have a role should things be reversed. I welcome it. I'm Mark Stewart Greenstein. Thank you.